Welcome to the Internet Confessional Booth, where the internet confesses, we gonna listen, and we gonna talk about them. So come on, y'all, let's see what they talking about today in the Internet Confessional Booth.
3 kids with my uncle. My mother's the youngest, and she has 2 older brothers. Let's start back when I was 8. When I was 8 years old, I knocked over my mother's favorite vase on accident. She was running around the house. She had tears in her eyes. She was distraught. She was scattering, trying to put the pieces back together. My mother never acted like that about me. Every day in my mother's household, I was verbally abused, physically abused. It was hell. It went from me accidentally knocking my mother's vase over to me purposely busting out windows in the household, to me slashing my mother's car tires, to the point where my mother had to call the police for me acting out. But for some reason, she didn't want me outside of her household. My mother would tell the cops she felt safe because they would ask her, does she feel safe? They would come in and do a routine check just to make sure I had food, to make sure my living situation was okay.
That's crazy. I don't like that because why have kids if you're not going to supply them with the basic needs, basic necessities? I'm not asking you to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to buy them designer things. You don't have to have snacks in the home and sodas and chips and stuff, but at least give them the proper nutrition that they need to live, to sustain, like, why have kids if you're not gonna, help them grow? Like, that's so messed up.
That it was livable. No one knew why I was acting out, but it wasn't because of my uncle, not just yet. The situation with my mom happened way before I was 8 years old. But me seeing how my mother acted about that vase, it took me and it pushed me over the edge. My mother's favorite brother is Brisket. Brisket is also my children's father. Brisket used to come to the house every day because my mom would throw a party literally every day. My mother had men in and out of the house. You could say my mom was the fun girl. But it didn't start with my uncle at 8 years old. My uncle Brisket has always been my favorite uncle. He has always looked out for me. He has always taken up for me when nobody else would. My uncle Brisket walked into the house and he asked what was going on. And she told him, that bitch knocked over my favorite vase. I hate her. I can't wait for her to leave.
And you know what? Sometimes when mothers act like that towards their daughters, they either look like their father, act like their father, or they just remind them so the child reminds them so much, reminds the mother so much of their father that they literally hate the child. And that's so unfortunate because you can't help that that I look like my dad, but you as a mother should still love me no matter who I look like. Like, you and my dad had a relationship or whatever, and y'all had me, given that it's not, any kind of molestation or anything that went on, or, anything bad, but like, that's unfortunate. That's not fair. And again, I'm not saying that that's what happened. This is just my thoughts or whatever, but that sometimes that's what happens.
And I ran upstairs. My uncle Brisket ran behind me. He came into my room and he told me everything would be okay, that one day I would be able to leave this place and I won't have to worry about my mom. She just hurt herself and she doesn't know how to show another person love. That's why she doesn't have anyone. I always ask my uncle Brisket, why does she keep me? Why does she want me here trapped? And my uncle always would tell me she needs someone to love. And believe it or not, your mother loves you. It started with me and my uncle. It started out little. My uncle would take me on walks and hold my hand. Then he started taking me to the park. We would sit and we would talk and he would rub my leg, rub my knee. And my birthday came around. I will never forget this day. I was 11 years old. My mother got me nothing for my birthday. My uncle Brisket came over. He had flowers. He had a balloon. and he was taking me out. My mother let me go as usual. She was having a party. I went with my uncle. We went out to eat. We went to the park, and then we ended up at a hotel. I didn't know what was going on, and my Uncle Brisket, when we got into the hotel, he went into the bathroom and he came out with nothing on. My uncle sat next to me and he said that he loves me. He know I love him too. And he asked me, do I love him? I didn't know what else to say, so I told him yeah. Because I did. I really did love him. I felt like he was the only one in this whole world who loved me back. And my uncle told me that I could tell no one about our relationship. If I told anyone about our relationship, that people would just hate me more, especially family. I've always been looked at as the black sheep of the family, so I believed him. My uncle slowly took my clothes off and he laid me in the bed, and he had Vaseline. And my uncle told me that he was putting Vaseline on my privates, on my vagina so it can go in really smooth, and on my butthole. But it hurt. It hurt really bad. It was blood all over the sheets, and I was shaking. I didn't want to go any further. And he stopped. He stopped, and after that, we had a very long conversation.
This is very hard to listen to because, you know, like when you hear a story or you reading a book or something, your mind pictures what is going on. Your mind takes you to a place where this is what you're reading or this is what you're listening to, and you can kind of visualize what's going on. And, you know, like, and I thank God, I never been in like a predicament that anybody has ever taken advantage of me or tried to take advantage of me or anything like that. But it's just so unfortunate that she had to go through this, and many other ladies or many other little girls had to go through something like this. And the men are just so disgusting. Like, what do you see in this little 11-year-old girl? Like, her mind is not developed, her body is not fully developed. It's like how do people, or why do people have this fixation on little kids? Like, that's so disgusting.
And then he took me home. And I acted as if everything was normal, like nothing happened. When I got in the house, my mom looked at me and she said, what did your uncle buy you now, you little spoiled bitch? And it just made me feel so bad. And I ran upstairs and I closed my door. But then I thought to myself, my Uncle Brisket loves me and he showed me how much he loved me. Now let's fast forward. I'm 15 and I'm pregnant. I don't know how to tell my uncle because I don't want him to be disappointed in me. I don't want him to not love me anymore. My mother always told me if I bring a baby in the house, that I had to leave. I didn't know what to do. My Uncle Brisket came over as usual, and my mom wasn't home by this time. My Uncle Brisket asked me what was going on, that I looked a little different. I was acting a little different. And I told him. I told my uncle that I was pregnant. He said, no worries, we will fix it. I didn't know what fix it meant at the time, but apparently fix it meant I had the baby and not tell anyone. I had my first daughter when I was 16 years old. I was in the hospital and my mother was being verbally abusive. She was calling me out my name. She was telling me what such of a young whore I was and that I wasn't going to do anything with my life. It got so bad to the point the nurses put my mom out the room. And before...
This is really a sad story. Like, I knew it was going to be kind of tough because of the title, but it's like, I don't know if it's because how she's telling it, like her monotone voice or what. It's just so sad. And of course she's not going to have like a jolly voice or, you know, happy or anything like that, but it's just like, damn.
Or I had my daughter that asked me did I want an epidural, but I told him no. I had so many bruises on my back from my mother beating me and hitting me, I was embarrassed. I gave birth to my daughter, and it's like, as soon as I had her, I couldn't bond skin to skin with her. My mother took right over. My mother has had my daughter since she's been born. It's like my mother was missing something. It's like she started over. My mother would not put my daughter down. My mother took my daughter everywhere she went. She treated my daughter like she was golden. It was so bad to the point where I wasn't even a mother. My daughter even slept in my mother's room. Now I'm 17. Me and my uncle are still going at it as usual. It never stopped. I never said anything, and no one ever suspected a thing. My mother is still having her parties as usual. She still has the guys around. My mother is still the fun girl. Just toned down a little bit because of my daughter. My mother loved my daughter as if she was hers. It seemed like a lot of times I felt like my mother had a second chance with my daughter. So I wouldn't say anything. It's basically like I just gave birth.
And like I said earlier, if your mom hated you so bad, 9 times out of 10 is from because your dad, because you look like your dad or something. You remind her of your dad, and your daughter doesn't. Your daughter is, like you said, she can start over. She can be that loving mom that she wants to be or wanted to be with you, but she couldn't because you remind her so much of your dad. And again, this is just my thoughts. This is alleged. This is just something that I came up in my head of what happened in her life. But that's what makes sense to me in my head. But hey.
Her, and that was it. I'm 17 now, and I'm pregnant again. I'm standing in the kitchen with my mother, and she's cooking, and my mother's looking at me, and she's telling me how much of a horrible person I was. I got pregnant again in her household, and now I'm having twins. My mother looked at me standing in the kitchen before my Uncle Brisket got there, and she said, after you had those babies, you got 6 months and you out my house. Since a grown bitch want to have more kids than me in here. My Uncle Brisket walked through the door and I had tears in my eyes and I ran upstairs. Of course, my Uncle Brisket ran behind me. He told me it was okay, it was cool. He was going downstairs to talk to my mother. Next thing I know, I heard shouting and fussing. My Uncle Brisket came upstairs with my mother. My mother was standing at the door with her hands on her hip, holding the doorknob of my door, and she said, "You're going to live with your Uncle Brisket, finally. You're off of my fucking hands." I was so excited. I was happy. The only person I felt like loved me in this world is taking me in with our kids. The only thing is I couldn't take my daughter. My mother would not let me take her. She refused for me to take her. I had no other choice. I was young. I left her there with my mother, and I moved in with my Uncle Brisket. Here I am, 17, and I had my twins. They were girls. My Uncle Brisket was even at the hospital with me, and he signed the birth certificates. I was so happy. We were finally going to be a family, like he's been telling me all these years. But he still told me that we had to keep it a secret. I couldn't say anything still. He was on the verge of figuring it out so we can be together. So we can be a happy family. And so people won't be mad at me. And then my Uncle Brisket started looking sick, weary, tired. I thought he was trying to get rid of me, or on the verge of getting rid of me, because we were wearing him out. Here I am, 17 with 2 kids. Maybe he was tired. He didn't have any kids before me. 6 months later, after having the twins, my Uncle Brisket dies. Full-blown AIDS.
Wow. I hate that the story ended like that. I wish we could have heard more or know more. But I wondered, did the uncle get AIDS? I wonder how the uncle got AIDS. And I wonder why you don't have AIDS. Or do you have AIDS? Because you didn't tell us about you. And it's so many questions that I have that's going through my mind because you didn't say anything about you and your health condition. And when you go to the doctor, and I don't think that you have to have Blood work. You have to have blood work, so they're gonna see if you are infected. So I have so many questions. I have so many things, that doesn't make sense to me because it ended so abruptly, and it's a lot. But yeah, that was a quick little story. It was, like I said, it was sad. And me being a mother, having a daughter, I could never. And she looked just like her dad, and I could never just like mistreat her because she's innocent. That's my sweet little baby girl. Like I could never, like, I don't know. But anywho, thank you, ma'am, for coming to the confessional, the internet confessional room, where you gonna talk, we gonna listen, and we gonna talk about you. But we ain't really talk about you that much, child, because you don't had a rough life, so we ain't gonna make it no rougher. But again, thank you guys for coming back and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.